Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to dive into an ancient, literal map of salvation. Today, we are charting a fascinating geographical and spiritual journey straight from the text of the Mahabharata. Imagine having a highly detailed travel guide, but instead of pointing you toward the best local restaurants or scenic overlooks, it gives you the exact coordinates to cleanse your soul and achieve eternal merit. That is exactly what we're going to unpack right now.
But before we start our journey, let's ask ourselves a really profound question. How did ancient seekers actually map out the path to salvation? Well, to understand this, we need to realize how these wanderers viewed geography. They didn't look at the landscape merely as physical space, just dirt, water, and mountains. Actually, they viewed it as a literal physical map to spiritual purity. For them, the earth itself was alive with spiritual opportunity.
To navigate this map, we first need to understand what a tirtha is. Basically, a tirtha is a sacred ford or pilgrimage site. Think of it as a cosmic crossing point, often near water, that is believed to be literally capable of destroying sin and producing great merit. This definition is going to be our compass, because our guide through the ancient text, the sage Dhaumya, is going to take us through a ton of these highly charged, sacred spaces. Okay, here's our itinerary for this explainer. We'll start with Dhaumya's sacred southern map, visit the Supreme River, Payoshni, trek through the southern mountains and lakes, hit the coast of Surashtra, and finally end at Dwaravati.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Dhaumya's sacred southern map.
So our journey begins down in the southern quarter with these beautiful, life-giving rivers that served as the perfect early stops for spiritually weary travelers. Dhaumya first points out the Godavari, Venna, and Bhimarathi rivers. And listen to how the text describes these places. They're teeming with nature, abounding in groves, and filled with birds and deer. But they are so much more than just a picturesque landscape. These riverbanks are frequented by ascetics and are explicitly said to be capable of destroying both sin and fear. Just stepping into these specific waters, surrounded by dedicated spiritual practitioners, was believed to completely cleanse the traveler of earthly anxieties.
Moving on to Section 2, the Supreme River Payoshni.
Traveling even further south, we encounter the Payoshni River. This is celebrated as the tirtha of the royal ascetic King Nriga. And wow, there is a wild, larger-than-life legend attached to this place. The text describes King Nriga's massive sacrifice at the Varaha Tirtha, which is right on the Payoshni. This event was so grand that even the god Indra became intoxicated from quaffing the ritual drink, soma. Meanwhile, the Brahmanas were completely intoxicated by the sheer volume of gifts they received. And as for the river water itself, the text promises that whether you drink it or just have it conveyed to you by the wind, it cleanses a person from all sins until the day they die.
This actually leads to an incredibly bold geographical claim from Dhaumya. He states that if you placed the famous river Ganga, and literally all the other rivers combined, on one side of a scale, and just the water of the Payoshni on the other, the Payoshni would still outweigh them all in sheer spiritual merit. That is a massive statement about the localized power of this specific destination in the ancient world.
Further emphasizing the sheer power of this site, Dhaumya notes that there's an image of Mahadeva here, created by the trident-bearing god himself. The claim here is absolute. Simply beholding this specific image at the Payoshni River guarantees a mortal passage straight to the region of Shiva. It is a direct, visual fast track to the divine.
All right, let's hit Section 3, Southern Mountains and Lakes. Moving away from the rivers, the deeper southern landscape is dotted with really challenging mountains and localized sites of extreme asceticism. For instance, on the Varna-Sortisa mountain, you find the sacred wood of Matara, complete with a sacrificial stake. Down in Suparaka, you have the actual sacrificial platforms of Jamadagni. Over at Tamarparni, the text tells us the gods themselves underwent severe penances just to obtain salvation. And finally, the Vaidariya mountain is described as a delightful place abounding in gems, serving as the asylum of the great sage Agastya. Every single inch of this terrain serves a distinct, powerful spiritual purpose.
But the true standout destination in this southern region has to be Lake Gokarna. The text tells us this lake is celebrated across all three worlds for its cool, auspicious waters capable of producing immense merit. However, there's a serious catch. It is extremely difficult to access for men of unpurified souls. This is a highly exclusive spiritual destination. The geography literally acts as an active barrier, rejecting those who haven't done the internal work required to access it.
Next up, Section 4,
the coast of Surashtra.
Making a geographical pivot away from the south, we turn our attention to the western seaboard. These sacred coastal spots of the Surashtra country offer completely distinct spiritual benefits to the seeker. We have Prabhasa, which is highly regarded even by the gods themselves. Then there's Pindarika, an area heavily frequented by ascetics and known to produce great merit. And finally, we have the mighty hill Ujjayanta, which is noted specifically because it conduces to speedy success.
To really grasp the power of Hill Ujjayanta, listen to what the celestial Rishi Narada explicitly stated about it. By performing austerities on the sacred hill of Ujjayanta in Surashtra that abounds in birds and animals, a person becometh regarded in heaven. It's just incredible how the ancient text intertwines the vibrant presence of wildlife with the solemn act of austerities, assuring the seeker a highly regarded status in heaven. And that brings us to Section 5, Dwaravati and the Supreme Soul. The physical journey across all these rivers, mountains, and coasts is ending, but our spiritual journey reaches its absolute peak at the city of Dwaravati. This is the crown jewel of our ancient map. It produces unparalleled merit because it is the physical dwelling place of Krishna. The text refers to him here as the slayer of Madhu and Hari of inconceivable soul. So this location isn't just a site where great things happened, it is where the Ancient One exists in an embodied form.
Here, the text beautifully shifts gears from mapping physical geography to mapping the divine itself. Consider the nature of Govinda, or Krishna. He is the purest of all pure things, the righteous of the righteous, the auspicious of the auspicious. He's the god of gods across all three worlds, described poetically as having eyes like lotus leaves. The physical tirthas were actually just a pathway, preparing the traveler to reach this ultimate, purifying presence.
He is the pure soul and the active principle of life, is the Supreme Brahma, and is the Lord of all. The crucial takeaway here is that arriving at Dwaravati isn't just about reaching some cool coastal city, it's about arriving at the Supreme Brahma himself. It's the profound realization that the ultimate pilgrimage site isn't just a place on a map, but the very active principle of life.
As we look at this final destination, the text notes that Brahmanas versed in the Vedas and philosophers of the soul all agree on this ultimate stark truth to conclude our tour: Krishna is eternal virtue itself. The entire physical map of the Mahabharata that we just traversed together was actually a blueprint designed to lead the traveler from physical rivers of purification straight to the source of eternal virtue.
As we wrap up this ancient spiritual travel guide explainer, it really leaves us wondering something profound. We've seen places that cleanse sin and mountains that demand purity to even access them. But if a sacred destination exists both on a physical map and as an ultimate realization within the soul, where does your journey truly begin? Does the geography purify the soul, or does the purified soul finally unlock the true geography? Keep questioning the paths you walk, and thank you so much for taking this incredible journey with me.